Hey everyone, it's Devin Francis, also known as Dr. Blackard.
And was that we're alive?
But time has passed, look how long my hair is.
What?
I mean, it's
I
up,
I don't
it's
think I
like
was even working where I am currently
below,
working
it
the
comes
last
down
time we
to like the
recorded.
cleft of my chin.
So much
No, we
time has
definitely were
passed.
not.
I'm very much employed now. That's why we've not done anything in a while.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a full-time, part-time job now.
Yes. Well, I mean multiple,
I have multiple jobs, but one of
to
them
be
is
fair,
part-time.
multiple part-time jobs, yeah. Yeah, it's episode 223. We're back because, the last episode we put out was the end of album 73.
Yo, we have to
And
talk about the Officer Burke bonus real quick.
oh yeah, that was what we forgot to talk
Because
about.
and I listened to it today.
Yes,
so,
you finally listened to it
yes.
many months after the fact.
And but let's talk about what else we're going to talk about.
Yes, we are back on AIOC talking about stuff because 74 is going to be coming out soon. Obviously, it's December now.
I'm so excited. I need Mori. I need Mori. I need Suzu. And I need Emily. I need untraumatized Emily. That's not going to happen. And I need more Jillian.
Not unburning that bridge.
I need more Burke. Wait, before
so we're talking about
Burke.
We're talking about Fishing for Gold and
Yes.
Honour of Obed-Edom, and then doing predictions for 74 so
Yes.
that we can start talking about that as soon as it comes out.
Yes. Okay, Officer Burke. So this is basically just talking about the history of Burke. Why, is it Marshall who plays Burke? Yeah, why Marshall was asked to play him.
Because he was there. Just like Mount Everest. Because he was there.
I feel like whenever basically one of the people who works on the shows, like one of the executive producers or writers gets asked to do like a voice, it's because they happen to be there at the time.
Well, yeah, because it's free labor.
Convenient. And I mean, I assume as the characters become more important, they would get paid to do the voice.
Additional, yeah. I mean,
yeah. Like think of like Glossman or George Barkley.
Yeah, I was gonna say George Barkley is kind of a more
George Barkley is a very big one.
Dale Jacobs, more
and Dale
than Glossman. Yeah.
So I didn't realize he was in so many episodes.
I didn't realize until I was doing my character playlist as the album was coming out that he.
Also, I didn't realize he originated back from Perfect Witness.
Yeah, I did not. Obviously, when they're like Officer Stu Burke, immediately to my mind that recalls Odyssey sings, and I think about him singing "You Have the Right." It wasn't until, like, I guess the first episode, Morning, of 73, that I was like putting the thing. I was like, oh wow, I didn't realize like just how much longevity he has in the character, and I especially didn't realize until the bonus feature the fact
he's arrested all your faves.
He's arrested basically every main character on the show, or at least taken them in, I guess.
Something I noticed and mentioned to you earlier is one of the main characters he hasn't arrested yet is Jason, which is one of the reasons why I hope the him and Jillian plotline continues, because I think it'd be really funny if he arrested Jason.
And then Jason arrests him back.
Yeah.
And then Jillian's
can't arrest me if I arrest you, and then Jillian arrests both of them.
I was going to say, Jillian's like, Jason, stop it. You can't do that anymore. That was a great line that I know we brought it up at least once, but when he was like, I'm with the NSA, she's like, no, you're not.
You were.
No, you're not. Stop it.
I cheered so loudly when she first said that, because when Jason said that, I yelled, no, you're not. And she was like, no, you're not. And I was like, oh my gosh. Is this for me?
No,
Did
you're
Kathy
not.
write this for me personally? This is so good.
Okay, Grandpa, let's get you back to bed.
Yeah, I feel like I know we have like a lot of running jokes and just like things we pick on the characters for. I feel like one of the biggest ones is Jason's career.
His inability to let go of the life
Yeah.
Okay,
Jason, this lifestyle is too dangerous for you. It's not healthy.
So, it was a good bonus feature to summarize the past of the character in a way that I'd never put two and two together
funny.
before, and then just talking about the hopes and dreams that Marshall has, the fans have for.
Yeah, Marshall's like, I hope and dream not to come back, but they keep on bringing me back. I love that that's just such a common thread with all of the writers when they get cast as characters. It's just like, please don't bring me back. And by all, I mean Phil and Marshall.
Paul and Marshall.
What?
Paul and Marshall? Paul playing Glossman, you mean?
Paul plays Gloss?
Yeah, Phil plays Dale Jacob.
Oh, oops. Yeah, that's what I meant. So, I get names mixed up.
I know.
Good, yeah. I always forget who Phil is in regards to so many things. Anyway,
which is funny because he's the only staff member who's worked on this show since the beginning and is still today.
You would think I would have a better memory, but you'd be wrong.
The only person who's been here the whole time, so it's funny. But I get
Chris.
There's two P names. I said staff. Okay. I'm not including actor.
Actors or staff?
They're cast. Cast and crew are two different groups.
Fine. Okay. I sent you a lot of messages this morning. You sent me a lot of messages. There was one message I sent you, and then I deleted. Did you see it before I deleted it?
I don't know. This is about Burke still, I assume.
No, it was after I finished listening to Obed-Edom.
Okay, what was the message about?
It was about the next episode. I sent it and then I deleted it.
Oh, no, I didn't see it then, no.
Heard it yet. Okay, I'm glad. I was like, I'm gonna feel so bad if I say stuff about.
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, good to know.
Let's talk about Fishing for Gold.
Yes.
Episode 940, written by Bob Goose. What happens in this episode?
So I listened to this episode for the second time this evening. The first time I listened to it was with Mom when we were driving back from a shift I had in Nelson. So, not as many mom thoughts on this episode as the missionary one with, I almost said
the Calhouns, yeah.
Not Trent. Trey, yes. One letter off. Two letters off. I know how to spell. So I think Mom's general thoughts were she thought the mom was really funny, and I think that was about it. She said it was good. I think she liked the
mom to mom recognition.
She kept on laughing at like all the jokes with the mom, which like I did too. Also, I'm so glad that you finished UDG now, because every single time the mom talks, I'm just picturing Hiroko in my mind.
Uh-huh.
Like, she is the biggest Hiroko vibes.
Interesting.
I don't know if it's just me.
I mean, I'll have to re-listen to it.
Because she's just like the sassy, cool mom. And I'm just like, yeah, big Hiroko energy. I just visualized
chain smoking
her
in Molly's kitchen.
Looking like that. She's like my little felon child. Anyway, so in this episode, we got the main character, Molly. I don't remember the other girl's name.
I probably have it written down.
Anyway, so this episode introduces the Odyssey equivalent to TikTok, which is called like tween vids or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
So, Molly is the main character in it. She's a new character. She has a friend whose name I cannot remember at the moment.
Is, drumroll, Allison.
Allison. Okay, so Allison is a TikToker who wants to become an influencer. She works on
She's a family vlogger, to be specific.
She's a family vlogger. She does TikToks with her dad. And her dad is basically like her online manager, and he's like trying to like drum a pipe and get them like really bit more popular and like spread their influence so that they can get like brand deals and stuff like that. Get that HelloFresh in Casper mattress, like
And diarrhea
Poles.
tea, I think it usually is when it comes to that kind of social media influencing stuff, right?
So
That's what I assume. I know that's the case with Instagram. I assume that's what it is for TikTok as well. It's just diet, teas, and makeup.
I don't really use Instagram much.
Well, neither do I.
And I don't have TikTok.
I'm just saying I assume TikTok is the same kind of same.
I think TikTok
groups.
likes to make food that will kill you. Like that pink goo stuff.
Yeah, but I don't think that's like the whole sponsorship base is based on the pink.
I think every sponsorship affiliated with TikTok is exclusively pink goo, and I will die on this hill.
It's the tubby custard machine.
Anyway, so Molly is helping Allison make a couple TikToks, and then Allison says like, hey, if you want to get into TikToking and stuff, this is what you can do. This is how brand deals work. This is how, like, this is what being an influencer is. This is what I want to do. You could do this too easily if you got, like, the same kind of phone as me, and be a lot easier for you to make them. And so...
And to be clear, this is, like, conceptually is something that's obviously predates TikTok. Like, I would say YouTube was the inception of, like, the influencer thing, and Vine and Instagram. I guess Twitter
TikTok in this case, because this is very clearly referencing
It is very
TikTok.
clearly, yeah. I just want to say in the general case.
But, like influencers...
It's not like people... Not like back in my day when people were healthy, wholesome Vine
YouTube,
influencers.
Vine, Twitter, TikTok, Twitch... I don't know.
Yeah. I would say that at least...
OnlyFans, I don't know.
I would say that TikTok, Vine, Instagram, and YouTube are, like, the same type of influencer, and then I would put, like, Twitter as, like, separate. I mean, you could do the same. You could also be, like, posting short video content to Twitter, obviously, but usually those would be someone who's mainly... Their main base is Instagram.
Influencer.
Is mainly Instagram and the cross posting to Twitter. So I think those are like the sites where you get this kind of short form comedy content with influencer based kind of thing. And then you'd have other... I'm an influencer on LinkedIn. It's a big thing, trust me.
Look at my CV.
Yeah.
Are you impressed?
Yeah, but it's something that does not apply to all social media in the same way. It's not like, you know, Snapchat or Facebook has influencers in the same way that you get on Instagram.
So, Allison is telling Molly that she should get a phone like Allison's. Allison has a very new phone, and Molly, like, has an old model, can't afford the new one. So then Allison says, like, why don't you try and get your mom to buy you the new one? Molly goes to her mom and tries to, like, butter her up and stuff, for, like, taking out the trash, and her mom, like, laughs in her face. It's really funny. I like her mom a lot. Like I said, big Hiroko vibes. She's fun. She's very funny. She's a very funny character. And so then Molly goes back to Allison.
To be fair, I imagine you would have to be a pretty quick wit if you're Don Polhouse's daughter. You go.
We haven't gotten to that part yet. Okay, so then Allison is like, is there anyone else in your life who might buy you anything or anything like that? Like, do you have any other family members? And Molly's like, well, I have a grandpa who lives in town. And then
at this point, I'm thinking of the episode art, and I was like, no.
I looked at the episode art, and I was just like, oh, as I do with every episode art, and I'm like, I don't know who this is. And then I feel like one of the only characters I can just immediately identify is Jay.
I mean, I think the first time I saw this art, I assumed that it was like Valerie and Polhouse.
Did we know what Polhouse looked like?
We've never seen him.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know who it was, and so then we hear Polhouse's voice, and I was just like, hold on a second. Like I said, I'm in the car with Mom, and so then Mom is like, I don't know who this is, because she would have listened to Green Ring, like, back when it came out.
I'm sure she's listened to something else with Full House and doesn't remember, but
surely she has, but
I was
nothing where he was as big a deal as he was in Green Ring, I don't think.
The whole time,
because I don't think she's heard Ties
when
to
she was
Find.
like, "Oh, my grandpa," and this whole time I've been fairly confident it was Full House in the art, so I was like, "There's no way they're gonna like Jack and Joanne us, where they're like, oh, you know how Full House has like at least one grandkid that he talks about all the time that has totally been extant forever." And lives in town that we all know about. And we had the whole thing about him talking about his family and adoption, and he was like, oh yeah, also I have a kid and a grandkid, and you know, everyone knows this. I was like, surely not.
And so I got like...
You got properly jump scared by it.
I got excited, but a little confused and a little scared. Because I was just like, how is this dynamic going to work out? Is he going to be, like, is he going to feel out of character in this episode? Or is he going to be, like, really mean to his grandkid?
Don't worry, it's the second one.
I loved the scene where he talked about, like, his adoption and all that stuff. It was, like, so sweet, and he, like, called his mom on the phone. Like, that was
But is this why you were talking about War with Grandpa?
So cute. What?
Is this why you're talking about War with Grandpa? Because you're thinking about
No, this was coincidence. No. That's just what I think of whenever I think about just not being relevant to the topic.
Oh no, that's what I interpret as, but all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute, is that why you brought it
No, in my brain that's just like what's it called? The court term.
Filibustering.
Filibustering is just War with Grandpa. And anyway, so then we get to see Molly and Full House interact a lot. She's trying to like get him to get her the phone. She's like, I like dropping subtle hints that I want a new phone, and she's like, I want a new phone, Grandpa. She also calls him like Gramps, which is a little weird. I was surprised that Full House would go by Gramps and not like
I like Grandpa. How
it feels like very casual for
he's
him.
Like, no one can know that.
Yeah, he's like, did you tell anyone when you came in that
were you followed?
Me? And she's like, don't worry, I asked them to bring me to like the coolest guy in the building, and he was like, good job.
Are you wearing a wire? Have you checked your lapels for bugs? I need to pat you down.
So she's like, hey, my birthday's coming up. Get me a gift. Oh, new phones are neat. And he's like, okay, weirdo, please leave my office. He's like, you're a rude little girl. Please go away. It was really funny. So she goes back, talks to Allison. Allison's like, oh, you gotta be nice. You gotta ask them things about themselves. And then you gotta like...
She's basically being a pickup artist for your family.
Basically. And just like do all these little things to get them on your good side and then ask for the gift. And so then Molly's like,
you gotta nag him. And she was like, oh, don't worry. He's already very familiar with that strategy.
And so then Molly remembers that she has a locket that Full House gave her when she was a kid. She finds the locket with her mom's help, and there are two pictures inside. One is Molly when she was like a really little kid, and then one is her grandma, so Full House's wife, who we found out passed away.
Perfect manipulative material.
And she sees it, she kind of like softens up a bit. She talks with her mom. She's like, oh, you look a lot like Grandma, actually. And I don't remember Grandma at all. And then her mom's like, well, I think that's why your grandpa wanted you to have this, because she passed away when you were so little. And Molly's like, I feel bad, I don't remember her. And she's like, well, it's not your fault. Like, you were young, and that's why you have the necklace. And so then she goes to Full House's house. She brings, like, pinwheel cookies or something like that, like his favorite, or snickerdoodles or something.
Something, yeah.
That, like, his mom, or her mom, his daughter, made. And he really likes them, and then they, like, talk for a bit, and he's like, what do you want? And every time he tries to, like, figure out what she wants, she's just like, tell me about yourself, and then she, like, slowly over the course of the conversation, she's like, oh, I'm the jerk. And so then she calls Allison, and she's like, I can't do this, I care more about my grandpa than I do a stupid phone, I'm leaving. She also found out a lot about Full House's childhood, which is interesting to hear.
all his fishing.
Oh, another reaction Mom had was when he was going on about how tasty molasses cookies were, and Mom was like, ugh. That's like the exact face she made.
Yeah, you can imagine.
He's just like, sweet nectar, and she was like, oh, that's disgusting.
I mean, it's good as an ingredient in things that also have a lot of sugar, like gingerbread.
I just kept thinking of like B. Dylan Hollis TikToks where he like makes all these things using molasses, and he's just like, it's so much to taste and stuff. And yeah, I mean, like
it's almost like Full House has an affinity for it because he grew up in the same time period when the recipes were written that B. Dylan Hollis made.
Yeah, so because of the
those were the only things they had because it was the Great Depression.
Yeah, because of the B. Dylan Hollis TikToks, I know that like very like molasses heavy ingredients or molasses heavy recipes were around during certain decades because they couldn't afford sugar. Yeah. So they would use molasses to substitute the sugar.
They were like, here's how you make a birthday cake when all you have is water, salt, and dirt.
So he would also go fishing with like a bamboo pole and stuff and a bunch of other things. And then she's like, I had a really nice day. And she like gives him a hug. And he's just like, you're still acting real weird, but okay. They had like a little exchange. It was very cute that I thought was funny where he's like, you're acting very weird. Like, and she's like, or he's like, you're acting like so sweet and nice and stuff. And she's like, how do I normally act? He's like, you act like a little smart aleck. Get out of here. And then we cut to Molly's mom dropping her off in the middle of nowhere on the side of the road. And Molly's like, I think this is like child endangerment and child abuse. And I don't think you're allowed to do this. And her mom's like, just walk in that direction. And Molly's like, you're not coming with me? And she's like, haha, no. And then she turns away.
Doing a full survival, like, Full Metal Alchemist or what have you. Like, it's chuffing yourself up. I'll be back in a month.
And I was like, on one hand, this is kind of funny. On the other hand, I would be terrified if I was Molly. I would probably just like start crying on the side of the road. I would be able to handle that. But since she's her mom, I'm assuming she knows what she can handle, and Full House was very nearby. So Molly goes in the direction that she was told to go. There she finds Allison in Full House, and Full House found out everything from both Molly's mom and Allison. And he takes Allison and Molly technology-free fishing, and he has cookies, and he gives them a bucket and tells them to dig up worms. And they're all very excited, and they're going to have, like, fun family bonding. Allison is allowed to call Full House Gramps alone, and only for the short time, and then if anyone else is nearby, he will deny that he knows either of them. And that's the episode. I was very, like, where is this going? I'm never a big fan. I know neither of us are, when it's just like a whole episode that seems very, one, technology focused, two, is about a bunch of characters we don't really know or have any investment in. But both of those elements were very quickly like turned on their head, and so were my expectations, and I really liked this episode. I thought it was good.
To be fair, in terms of technology, I mean, usually if it's just like...
It wasn't like an anti-technology episode,
in this episode.
Which is what I thought it would be going into it. Like, it never, like, I don't know, is, like, influencer derogatory or something like that. Like, it's slightly
I would say it is. And
but honestly...
I was like, I mean, yeah, for, like... As soon as the episode began, I was like, I could not be more on the side of Molly's mom here. Like, child TikTok influencers hitting Odyssey. Like, I have so much distaste for, like, the psychological impact of children and teenagers spending their time trying to become influencers and content creators at that age. Like, not to sound senile or like a Luddite, but I feel like this is a pretty common sentiment amongst, you know, older teens and young adults. Like, it really, truly does rot and warp your perception of reality and social interaction when you're at that age and your focus is purely based on numbers around engagement and likes and followers and stuff like that.
Especially when your parent is your manager.
Exactly.
And is
my next
also
sentence.
saying, like, people are fake. These people don't love you. Like, they're just a number to you. They don't care about you. And they're a family vlogger channel. And I was just like, oh my gosh, don't do this to your child.
The next
You're going to
sentence
alienate them.
I was going to say, especially family vloggers. Like, you know, hashtag not all family vloggers, but parents that use their children as instruments for social media clout and advertising are the absolute worst. And history has shown time and time again how much mistreatment and abuse and stuff easily rises to the surface when that's the environment that's being fostered where you're raising your kids. And obviously, once again, that is a dynamic that pre-exists social media, because you could say the same thing about, like, you know, pageants, like beauty pageants for toddlers and stuff like that. Toddlers and tiaras.
Child actors, too,
exactly.
are a really big one. Like, so much crap happens to child actors, especially as they get older.
And this is taking all of that into an environment where it is purely inside of your house. There's no other people around for, like, supervising or stuff like that. It's all purely, completely edited before anyone's outside of your house sees it, which is why we so often hear these news stories about, like, these horrific parental conditions in these, like, super popular, yay, perfect family vlogger channels that
and
I don't
also,
watch anyways. But
another person to look at for, like, how harmful growing up like this can be is Jeanette McCurdy, who just made a new book called I'm Glad My Mom Died. Like, she, if anyone has ever seen iCarly, she played Sam on it. And she had a horrible, horrible upbringing, and all these horrible things happened to her because of her mom. And yeah, she just wrote a book about it that was based off a stage play by the same name, which I might read. I'm not sure yet. But,
I was really glad that when this episode started out, it's like, we're talking about, like, not just social media, but, like, kids trying to be, like, influencers, like sponsored influencers on short form comedy videos, social media, and family vloggers specifically. And I was glad that as the episode went on, you could sense the increasing tension where Allison is like, yeah, I mean, honestly, like, personally, I don't even want to do it that much, and it's my dad who keeps on, like, really, like, pushing me to do it. And at the end, she's finally able to have the conversation with him. Very similar to what's the beauty pageant episode from before? What's the title of it?
Oh, I'm trying to remember who's in that episode.
Well, Bart Rathbone is in it.
It's been a long time since I listened to it.
It's the episode where he quote Lord Byron at the beginning. What is that? Album 14? No, it's not.
I don't know. I'll figure it out. You keep talking.
Yeah. Anyways, very similar to that, where, like, at the end she's finally able to have the conversation with her dad, where she was like, hey, I would like to take a break. Can we step away from this, take a breath, and, like, reestablish things? Because this is going really hard, and I'm not enjoying all of what we're doing like this. I don't want to, like, do this, and I am feeling this consistent pressure from you. A model child. There we go. It's the first episode of album 12. Yeah, so very similar to that, and that's a great example of, like, how this is an issue that has persisted not through all of time, I would say, but it's something that existed before this current technology, and this current form of it is just something that exists now, but it has taken other forms in, like, you know, 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago. This toxic dynamic still existed. It just took a different form depending on available technology and entertainment and stuff like that.
Like girls and that kind of stuff.
I think that it is something that it's good to address because, like I said, we've talked about child pageants before in Album 12, but if you're a kid who is in, let's say, like, you are a kid and you listen to Adventures in Odyssey, and you are, like, your parents are like, oh, we're going to do, like, a family vlog thing. Listening to an episode like this could help you recognize something of yourself in Allison's story and being like, hey, I should say something because I am not comfortable, like, with the amount of time and effort and stress and, like, the emotional dynamic that goes into making all this, like, fake content for social media.
Also, I think a big important thing about the episode that I really love is they never, like, condemn Allison for what she's going through. They never make her out like, hey, you suck for, like, agreeing to do this stuff and that kind of stuff. It's like,
you're so fake.
Yeah. And it's like, hey, you don't seem...
More like sinfluencer.
You don't seem very happy. Like, do you want to talk about it and, like, go on, like, a little trip with us? I'm so happy that, like, Pole House was like, hey, I know her dad. I had a big talk with him, and we all thought this would be, like, good for all of us. And
yeah, I really liked that it was that because, like I said, I feel like this is a place where a lot of kids will find themselves in and they won't be able to recognize it or won't be able to feel like, oh, there is validity to me feeling tired or not wanting to do this, or, like, I don't have the ability or any reason to, like, say anything about it. And that's why episodes like this are important, so that you could see yourself and recognize that and being like, oh, so it's normal for me to be like, hey, I don't want to do this, or I would like to do it a little less intensely. And I have the ability to communicate that. Is super important. And I mean, also, Molly, the main side of the story is also good and stuff. And, you know, it's nice getting to see more of Full House, especially when you were describing it. But I mean, listening to it too, the, like, back little bit of the episode made me think of Gone Fishing, like the OG pre family portraits drama, with Whit being all like, I'm out here with my homemade fishing pole, and yours is also made by me because I own the whole company. All starting with my homemade bamboo fishing pole, and sticking a string.
There's just something, like,
and a hope and a dream and a hook.
So, like, comforting about this episode to me. I think it's partially what I said before. Like, Pole House is a very stern character, so, like, getting to see a softer side of him, like we did in the episode with, like, Buck and
poking
stuff.
Him in the side. And
you're a softie. It's really
so sweet.
Nice to see, like,
Detective Gramps, sir.
It's really nice to see him interact with the people he cares about and, like, reminisce on his fond memories. It's just, yeah, it's very, very sweet. I enjoy it a lot. I really like this episode. This episode handled, I think, every topic that it was addressing very well.
Yeah. I like the way you put it, where it's like, they're covering, like, the issue of, like, young child influencers and family vloggers, but they're taking aim at, like, the social dynamics of it and not taking aim at any aspect of the technology itself.
Yeah. Like, they're not trying to target or be... This episode, I think something about it is... This episode could have so easily been mean-spirited in certain elements, but it's not, I'd say, in any regard, basically. It's just like a very calm, gentle, comforting look at several different topics. And also, like, I really like...
It's funny because as we keep talking about the vibe that keeps coming back to my mind is calm, and I think it's just because it ends with, like...
it's just a very calm, comforting episode.
It's just like, we're just sitting, there's, like, a bubbling little brook in the background.
Yeah.
And we're just
like, I wouldn't go as far as to say, like, this episode fills me with the same kind of, like, peace and comfort and happiness that, like, watching a Paddington movie does, but it's, like, almost there. Like, this is, like, a very feel-good episode, in my opinion, and I think, like, a big part of that, for me personally, is all the interactions between Molly and Pole House, not just for the reasons that I said earlier, but because I've had so many, like, interactions along the same lines, not that I'm trying to con anyone, but just, like, enjoying hearing about the childhood or just, like, prior to my birth experiences that my grandma's had. Like, especially the last couple of years. Me and her have had like so many really just nice conversations, and I just like felt that same way like listening to Molly talk to Full House, and it was just really nice.
It's so interesting to talk to like older people about like past life experiences and just like completely different paradigms on life. Like my supervisor when I worked on the farm in Alberta, obviously we'd spend a lot of time just like out in the field, and she was like, when I was born, like when I was a young child, we lived in a cabin in the middle of the prairies and had no electricity. And that was like her whole childhood was like no electricity even at that point. It's like, you know, so far removed from just being like, oh, we didn't have the internet or anything like
Off
that.
the grid.
Yeah.
Carrot my credit cards. Let's go.
Yeah.
Off the grid.
Pull down the shutters.
But the big sentiment I got between this episode and to tie it into Obed-Edom is just like, man, I love my grandparents.
It's a good grandparent pair of episodes.
Yeah. All my homies out there who love their grandparents, these episodes are for you.
Okay. The other thing, yeah. So when I first was like, wait, so Full House is a grandfather? Like he's never mentioned having children this entire time. And when I like actually looked properly in at the art for this this episode, I was like, I can't reconcile in my mind this image of him because the guy in the art looks way too young in my mind to be Full House.
He does. Also, the little girl looks a lot like Katrina, kind of. Or not like Katrina, but she looks like a lot of other...
I know it's Gary Locke's hairstyle, but she looks...
kids.
The like bump on the front of her hair is so big, it looks like she has one of those infomercial like bump hair inserts.
Oh, I had a teacher who used to always have... It was called like a bump it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a teacher who was one of my favorite teachers, and she like always had one of those in her hair.
That's crazy.
In high school.
Wow.
Yeah. Or at least it looked like she did. I'm pretty sure she did.
That's so wild to be like, man, my hair doesn't have enough volume. I'm just going to take like a block and put it in my hair. Like this is like, you know, like proper Victorian, like I need to put a bird cage in my hair and light it on fire with a live bird inside.
And people still do stuff like that. One time, like a month ago or something like that, Mom showed me hair life hacks because it just came up on her Facebook page, and it was just like this person doing different braids, and they were sticking like pencils in their hair and stuff like that and all these different things and just braiding around it.
But that's a pencil, at least, isn't that abnormal. Like people hold a bun in place with like a pencil or chopsticks or stuff like that.
Yeah, some of the things were weird though that they were putting in their hair. Just like random whatever solid material they had around there, just like braiding it into their hair to make their braid a certain shape. And I was like, this is
I don't want to carry a purse around, and so just all the spare little knickknacks I need, I'm just gonna.
Jenna Marbles did that once. She just tied every single thing she could to her hair so she'd never need to carry a purse around ever again.
Which is also like a product that Jeff invented on Bleakface, which was just Velcro that's strapped to your wrists so that you could, and then you attach Velcro to things like your TV remote, your phone, or an Apple, and then just attach them to your wrist and have them for easy access.
That sounds awful. Anyway, what do you rate this episode, Devin?
Oh, yeah, and then the other thing was the video online. It was all about Bob trying to be an influencer, losing and getting lost in the sauce.
I'm sure he succeeded.
Well, actually, I guess I should say more specifically, it was about Bob trying to be an influencer and failing, while Puppet Bob was wildly succeeding at being an influencer.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah. People love puppets.
People do love puppets. So, I'm going to give this episode a 4.7 out of 5. I liked expanding, Full House's kind of personal sphere of relationships and learning a little bit more about his past, getting to see this softer side of him, and 4.8 out of 5. I really liked how the theme was handled in terms of talking about something. They took a topic that is extremely relevant right now and extremely relevant to the audience to whom this show is being broadcast.
And dare I say, it would be very easy to demonize.
Yes,
like
and it would have been
I love
very
Drew
easy
Gooden
to handle
videos, but he picks on like people online and sometimes like the kids and stuff. Like not picks on the kids, but usually like the parents and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like it's easy to like bully.
It would have been very easy for this episode to send the wrong message or to handle it poorly.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like they did a fantastic episode in terms of handling, like, here's this thing that is not inherently bad, but it can be like dangerous or bad for you, and you should be aware of that. It's not your fault. It's not the technology's fault, but learn how to recognize and have conversations about it. And granted, once again, that's not even really the point of the episode per se, but I feel like it's the thing that the episode handled the best in terms of theme, and the rest of it of being like, hey, there's a lot of value, don't manipulate people to get stuff you want. And also there's a lot of value in spending time like with your relatives and learning from them and their experiences and stuff. All very good lessons.
I'm going to piggyback off your rating because I think 4.8 really suits it. I feel like I can't bring myself to give it a 5. I can't really express why. And I feel like I've already said everything I really like about this episode. I just love it in stories because I'm always like a character analysis, what makes this character tick and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. At heart when it comes to plots and stuff. Like I'm always going to value learning more about the character as a person than what cool adventures they'll get up to at the end of the day. So getting to learn like more about Polehouse after we've known him this many years is just really nice to me. So yeah, and also, like I said, everything we've already talked about.
Cracking the case off this black box.
Mm-hmm. Also, something we kind of already said, I just love how clearly you can tell that just like Polehouse's daughter and Molly are related. They're all just cut from the same cloth. They're all just like funny, so sassy.
Because as you're saying, you're like, oh, her mom is, her sense of humor and stuff. I was like, I mean, it makes sense. Mm-hmm. It's like when you grow up with, and I would have to assume that Polehouse's wife had a relatively similar.
He says that like her personality is a lot like Molly's.
So you would have, for her mom, I imagine growing up in a family like that, when you have a lot of like super quick-witted people around you, you learn to also like, go with the flow and be quick-witted.
Yeah. So anyway, let's talk about the next episode. Woo-ska-doo. Yeah. We can too. Woo!
All right, episode 941 now, The Honour of Obed-Edom, written by Dave Arnold. What happens, Victoria?
Okay, so in this episode, we have a storyline about the Ark of the Covenant. So this is one of those, I don't know if you looked it up. I was going to get you to look it up because I was at work.
I didn't.
Okay, you look it up now while I do the summary.
I'll probably just have to look at recent episodes and guess.
So this is a kind of like what if sort of thing.
Well, I don't know if that is right, because that's, what if implies something different than what happened, right? This is just something that might have happened.
Okay, so this is a kids' radio episode where it's like, we don't know if this happened, but it might have. Which
it's the Book of Speculation.
Yeah, the Book of Speculation.
Which is what I'm looking And it's not on the wiki, so I'm just going to have to look at recent episodes and take an
fun.
estimate.
We know it's an OAC, or at least I'm pretty confident it was an OAC episode.
I mean, probably.
Okay, so it is Wilson, and he is enlisting his friends to help him tell this story. It is about Obed-Edom, who used to be a soldier in David's army. He was injured, so he was honorably...
He was one of David's mighty men, to be specific.
Yes.
Not
he was very
just
close
any
to David.
soldier.
He was, I don't know, like purple-hearted or whatever.
Basically,
like he was discharged because of an injury.
Mm-hmm.
And so he lives with his wife, and he has 8 sons and grandchildren and stuff. So he and his wife are not doing great. They're doing their best, but money is tight and crops are not the best.
Living in the desert will do that to you, yes.
Yes. Do you hear an echo?
No.
Oh, maybe it's just me. Okay. I turned my sound down all the way in QuickTime, and now I don't hear an echo anymore.
Oh, yeah. It should always be turned down all the way. Was it not before?
I noticed it was turned down, so I turned it up a second ago, and I heard an echo, and then
it wasn't the whole time. Yeah, there will be 2 of your voices if you turn it up.
Might be like, I don't know, 2 20-second stretches where there's 2.
Okay, it's not the whole thing, though, yeah. You may recall, which I guess you don't, but you should. I'm telling you now.
I don't.
In QuickTime, when you're recording, the volume should always be literally at 0. Otherwise, it'll, duplicate your voice.
Good to know. Okay. So, you figured out the timeline early this morning. So back when Saul...
Well, I mean, I just looked it up.
Okay, you give the timeline real quick, so I'll probably mess it up.
So, basically, during Saul's reign was the time when the Philistines stole the ark, and then bad things started happening to them. They took it and they tried to keep it in the temple of Dash. Is that his name? Something like that. Anyways, and then every morning they come in and the statue of their god had completely fallen over on its face like it was bowing before the ark.
That's kind of funny.
And that kept on happening a couple days in a row, and so they took it out, and everyone got the plague, essentially. It describes it in the Bible as they were afflicted with tumors and rats, which I remember when I was reading it.
Tumors on their bodies that looked like rats.
When we read it, we were like, kind of an odd combination. But it makes a lot of sense when you think about it. The only time when I put this together was actually in a Sawbones episode, an early COVID Sawbones episode, and Sydney was talking about plagues and how some historians theorize that the first recorded record of the bubonic plague in history may be this affliction on the Philistines. Because it's well, obviously they probably weren't hit with literal cancerous tumors, because it's not that's something that's contagious or that'll happen quickly. But obviously these aren't small boils or welts or warts. They know what those are. So what is a larger swollen mass that people could have? You could have a goiter, elephantiasis, but most likely buboes, as in the swellings that you get with the Black Plague.
In the little bubbles that come in that tea.
It's quite likely that when they say the word tumor, that they're talking about the growths, the buboes that you get with the bubonic plague, which makes sense because they were tumors on rats. Those seem unrelated until you think oh, the rats brought the plague that, God visited upon them for stealing the ark, and they were you guys take it. And so they send it to another Philistine town, and they sent it to 7 different towns passing it, and the plague followed them everywhere they went. And one of those instances where you can see there's this scientific explanation that happened in concert, because you could see God did do this, but this is the way that it was worked through things. I like it when we can see oh, here is the mechanism by which God performed this thing. So they passed it all around Philistia, and the plague followed them everywhere until they were finally okay, we are giving this back to Israel because this is a disaster. So we're just giving it back. We're sorry. We talked to the priest, and they're like, yeah, you shouldn't have done this. Probably. Oopsie, our bad. And so they gave it back with a bunch of gifts that I believe included a bunch of gold rats and gold tumors. I remember because that really
weird
stuck out.
Flex, but okay.
Really stuck out in my mind last I read it. So yeah, they gave it back with a bunch of offerings, and then the Israelites took it and they brought it to Beth Shemesh, I believe, and the people there like opened up the Ark of the Covenant. They're like, "Ooh, we want to see what's inside," and then like 12,000 people died.
I wonder why.
And so Saul is like, I don't want to bring this back to Jerusalem. I'm going to send it to Abinadab's house. And so they sent it to the threshing floor of Abinadab, and it stayed there for 20 to 30 years. It's ambiguous depending on which part of scripture you're reading about it, but it stayed there for a couple decades. And then finally Saul died, and David became king, and he was like, we're bringing the ark back to Jerusalem. Get me a cart. And so they got a cart, and Abinadab's son Uzzah, rights, wrongs, and reasoned himself and died. And so David...
When you rights, wrong, and reason yourself.
Yeah, so Uzzah died, and David was like, maybe we won't bring it all the way back to Jerusalem yet, because I am also kind of scared now. So we'll bring it a little closer, baby steps. We'll bring it to Obed-Edom's house, and then after a couple months of being there, and Obed-Edom's family was super blessed, and he had a bunch more kids and stuff, and David was like, oh, okay, we'll bring it all the way back now. Now we'll actually have the Levites carry it on the Asherah Poles, and they did the thing where it was like every 6 steps or something like that on the way back to Jerusalem, they stopped and like sacrificed a cow, like every 2 meters all the way back to Jerusalem. And then, they arrived, and David danced in the street in his undergarments, and then his wife was like, ugh, and then she was barren, and all that jazz. And then Obed-Edom and his sons became like gatekeepers of the temple and stuff.
Gatekeep.
Yeah. That's what you meant before.
Yeah.
I was so confused,
they were like,
but I didn't...
David came to his house, he was like, I want you to gatekeep the Ark of the Covenant, and I was laughing.
I didn't put that together. You said, like, Obed-Edom, when
I typed that and I sent it to you, I thought, like, for a second, I wonder if Devin's gonna know what I'm talking about, and then I sent it anyway.
It completely went over my head, and I was like, nah, I don't have the energy to ask what... I was like, what was he gaslighting about? What was he gatekeeping? I typed the word because I was looking at a thing and that's what it said, and I just typed out what I saw without like processing it out loud like that.
I almost just put gatekeep, but then I was like, no, it'll be funnier if I put all of it. But I'm sleepy. I can't remember right now how Saul died. I'm trying to remember. Did he commit suicide?
Saul?
Yeah. Or was he killed in battle?
Yeah, he shot himself in the head at the end of Darian's Rise. I mean, obviously it was like a spear or a sword in real life.
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought.
It was much more graphic in Darian's Rise, because he's like, hey, kid, watch me do this, and then shot himself.
Yeah, and also it's Jim Cummings doing it, and it's just like Tigger's like, shoot me. It's like
pull the trigger, Piglet.
It's pull the trigger, Piglet. It's the comic where like Pooh is, or like Tigger's a zombie or whatever. It's like pull the trigger, Piglet. But like real life.
But like real life, yeah. I mean, we've discussed it before, but it's one of very few instances on the show where you've heard someone take their own life, like in that moment, and it's definitely the most graphic of them, because the other ones are Blackard blowing himself up with the bomb in the tunnel, and there was the dad in Alaska in For the Cure in Odyssey, who like day after tomorrow cut himself loose from the rope and fell into like the abyss.
Did you see the new artwork I don't know how new it is, on the club website of Blackguard's Revenge?
No.
I saw it when I opened up the app, and it made me laugh really hard. Okay, you gotta...
For that episode specifically?
Yeah, I think so. I'm gonna find
or just
it.
for the album overall? Okay. Anyways,
I'm gonna show it to you.
So, I mean, that's what happened in the Bible as far as Obed-Edom is concerned. I don't remember when the other Book of Speculation episode was. Someone could tell us in the comments. My thing is, I think it might have been a portion of an episode that was like kids radio, and then here's like 3 story segments, and that's why it's not going to come to memory. Like, it was probably, it may well have been something earlier this year where it was like, like last year, like it was in Kafkino. Well, that doesn't make sense because those were grim tales.
Yeah.
But, something where it's like, oh, here's a couple different stories mashed in here, and one of these was the Book of Speculation. I think it's something like that, and that's why I don't remember, because it wasn't a whole episode set in there. Bigfoot, Voice of Freedom. Yeah, I don't remember which one it was.
Also, a tiny little note, the Oddcast now has, like, new little loading thingies.
You mean the AIOC?
The AIOC has, like, the little loading word things that pop up, or it's like you click on something, it says, like, please wait while Eugene tweaks some things, or, like, Connie's going to do this, or it's kind of cute.
It's weird on the web app now, since they redesigned it, it's like, it's set up in a way where the whole screen it's basically like a mobile app that is being presented in your web browser, as opposed to, here's a website. It's not really a website, it's like a mobile app that's just skinned inside your browser, which means, one, it's like super laggy, like just like scrolling around, because it has to like process it not in a normal HTML way, but also you can't inspect the element to get just images off the screen. So when you see the episode art, before you could right click and hit download image, save image as, and now there's basically like a sheet of glass over the whole website where it's like, here's the app interface, and everything, all the individual elements are going on. You can't reach the back of the tapestry now in a normal way. So I think for recent episodes, like, to get the art, I just have to screenshot the art because I can't download a JPEG from it, which is annoying because obviously if I take a screenshot, it's very small, it's very low res compared to being able to actually download the JPEG.
Speaking of screenshotting, look at the picture I just sent you. He's like, ah. I saw that Whit's face. He's like,
Whit's
I saw this picture when I opened up the app this morning to listen and catch up on the Odyssey episodes I was behind on, which is about like 7 episodes or something like that. And I saw this picture and I thought it was like the December episode of the month or something, and I was like, Blackguard's back. And I was like, oh no, it's Blackguard's Revenge. They redid the art probably for like a album bind episode.
In this image, Whit is higher than he was in Cars, Trains, and Motorcycles. Blackguard...
Whit looks like his jaw dislocated like Jacob Marley in like the Jim Carrey.
His eyes were like sagging down. It's like...
Blackguard has like raccoon eyes.
Blackguard, one, it looks like they slightly like compressed the JPEG of his head, but also it looks...
His hair looks like the Kingdom Hearts like curled heart. Like the little widow's peak. Like look at the... You see what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
His
face...
And
Whit's eyes are going 2 different ways.
His face is narrow, but also it looks like if you like take a mirror and so you're like looking at someone's face and the other half is reflection, but he tilts his head like that,
yeah.
so his reflection's
right.
tilted.
There's even like a line like right here,
yeah,
basically.
His whole face is like, it's like they slanted it, but then they normalized the width, so his
except for one of his eyes looks completely different than the other eye. Other than that, and then his mouth is like, ah.
His whole face is shaped like a bunch of V's. It's a stack of V's.
I thought that was really funny, and I thought you would like it.
Yeah, that's wild. Anyways, Obed-Edom.
I was like, I need to show Devin the new Blackers Revenge cover art before I forget.
Tell me.
Not that I've ever been a big fan of the original cover art, because Aubrey's face is like, ah. But
yeah, what happens in the episode that's different than that? So the arc arrives at the house, and they're like, we're starving because, famine and whatnot.
So Obed-Edom has like a grandson who is important. I can't remember the grandson's name. Anyway, the grandkid is like sickly and stuff. So then Obed-Edom and his wife is like a girl boss. She's like, I have so many problems, and I'm trying to take care of us. And we have to, like, rely on our neighbor's charity, and I hate that for us. And, like, our family's moving away, and he's just like, I'm sorry, what was that last thing? Like, I didn't know about any of these other things, but also I didn't know about this. And she's like, oh, yeah, our grandson is, like, really sick, and he can't get the treatment he needs here.
And also, our son hates us.
So, like, he's moving to this other place where we're not going to see him anymore. And then Obed-Edom is like, this sucks. And he's like, I wish I could be in the war still. Why? And then David comes and he's just like, hey, can you look after my thing, please? And then Obed-Edom is like, okay. Because David's like, I know you're sad, you're not in the war, but I found a way you can help me. And it's if you look after my box. And he's like, okay, I'll look after your box.
We're putting it in your living room. Be careful. Hope you don't have any snags in your rug.
Yeah, because it's too big for them to keep anywhere else in their house. So his wife is just like, I mean, I'm happy that we're doing this for God. Yeah. And
don't put your feet up on it when you're watching the news.
And I, like, don't mind or anything like that. But also, this is, like, our living room.
I kind of mind a decent amount.
And now none of our sons want to come visit. And our grandkids can't visit. Because everyone's afraid that they're going to touch the box and then die.
And the grandson is like, I really want to come.
And our grandson is like that cat that got killed because it was so curious. Because he just always wants to come over to our house. And he's like, what's in the box? I want to touch the box.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, we'll let you come over if you're super careful, even though your dad said you shouldn't come over. You can come over for, like, literally 1 minute, and then you have to leave the house.
The dad is like, no, he's not allowed to come over with the death box. Did you hear what literally just happened to Uzzah, son of Abinadab?
And then they're just like, oh, we're going to miss our grandson,
This is
okay.
a child. You can't, if you tell a child not to touch a thing, do you know what happens? It's literally the first story in the Bible.
And so then they're just like, okay, we won't have the kid over. And then the kid, like, sneaks over and he's like, I miss hanging out with my cool grandparents.
Can't you build another box around the box?
and then he's just like, I want to see the box because I know it's a special box.
Build an Ark of the Covenant.
And then also when the grandma was...
It's called the Temple. It's called the Holy of Holies.
When the grandma was... the temple at home, Obed-Edom's house. When the grandma was talking about, like, everything and just, like, all the stuff the family was going through and trying to, like, hold everything together, I was like, man, grandparents go through so much. Because over the past couple of years, there have been so many moments where I've just been like, oh, man, I wish you didn't have to deal with this about our grandparents in regards to certain things. But, yeah, I was like I said, both these episodes, I was like, shout out to grandparents. They're cool. Unless your grandparents aren't cool, then you can share ours, I guess.
Yeah.
We'll be your grandparents. I don't know. That's how it works, right?
Yeah.
So when the kid comes over, the kid's like, just 1 minute in your house and then I'll leave. And then they're just like, okay, but don't touch the box. He, like, walks over, he's like, it's so shiny, and he tries to touch it, and that's what the album art is. And then they, like grab him, and the dad runs in, he's like, what's wrong with you? I told you to not let him near the murder box. You had, like, one job. And then,
It's literally, it's a case where it's like, I mean, it's not like there was any misunderstanding on the dad's part, like, that it is literally what was going to happen. It's exactly what he said was going to happen. Yeah. And there's no two ways about it. Like, yeah, he was right. Like, I mean, they could have done a little more than just be like, don't touch it because I told you not to touch it. Obviously, he's going to want to touch it. You could be like, hey,
Also, when they show it to him, he's like, what's inside the box? And they're like, oh, it has Aaron's staff, like Moses' brother. It has the 10 Commandments. It has all, like, I almost just said lambus bread, like the stuff from Lord of the Rings.
I've definitely almost said that before, I'm sure.
It has the manna.
Yeah.
It was, like, feeding the Israelites when they were in the desert. And he's just like, oh my gosh, that's a really special box. And then he tries to touch it.
They're like, look,
I don't know what you expected.
I need you to internalize this like nothing else you ever have in your young life. You know how sometimes adults tell you to do a thing and they give you like a fake reason and lie to you about it because you won't understand the real reason or they don't want to tell you? And it's like they do. It's like, yeah, this is not a lie. If you touch the box, it will kill you.
It will kill you.
There's no two ways around it. Like, you will die.
Yeah.
So don't do it.
It just made me reflect.
This sounds like the epitome of adults telling you a really fake lie to get you to not do something. If you touch it, you will die.
You will die.
Immediately.
I could not be more serious. You see how Grandma and I aren't touching the box? It's because we don't want to die.
Once again, I mean, I know that it's not just about having it in the house, like, you know, they're honoring it and stuff like that. I feel like they could have at least put a little fence around the ark or something.
They put like
a little museum.
Kid cages that you put like toddlers in, so they won't like cross it.
Put a
with,
baby,
like, box.
A little kid cage around it.
Yeah,
the little safety lock, or put like little museum like the poles with the velvet like to keep you back.
You put like spikes around it, like don't cross this. You put like those little things that like pop the tires on your car around it.
And it would hurt to walk on because they only had...
You put a bunch of Legos around the Ark of the Covenant.
Well, it's the living room. They're not wearing their sandals.
They're
not wearing their sandals inside. That's going to hurt your feet.
It's going to hurt your feet. Put Legos around it. You don't want to step on the Legos. They'll hurt too much.
Just scatter loose
Also wouldn't have died if we put Lego around the Ark of the Covenant.
If they'd scattered... I mean, bear in mind, they were going through mud, right? They're just scattering it in the mud.
Like flower girls just like throwing Legos.
Like the sower and his seeds.
Hansel and Greteling
loose Lego in the mud.
Show the Philistines how to find the Ark again.
Yeah, I mean, they probably need to do that just to get traction in the mud anyways, right? With that cart.
That'd suck. But I kept on thinking, as I always do whenever the Ark of the Covenant is mentioned, back when I was teaching children's church, and for like, I don't know, like every time, I think for my first 4 lessons, even though they were like months apart, or I'd teach like once a month, I did a lesson, it somehow always came back to David at some point in his life, or the Ark of the Covenant in some point where it was relevant, which was not on purpose. And it kind of built a growing fear in my younger cousin, because when we first talked about it, she was like, so where is the Ark of the Covenant? And I was like, oh, we don't know. And then she's like, what do you mean? You know, you remember which cousin, right, Dove?
I think so. Yeah. You can say their name. It's not going to dox them.
Anyway.
Okay.
Anyway, so she was like, so where is it? I was like, oh, we don't know. And she's like, what do you mean you don't know? Because I just spent like the last 5 minutes before explaining all the ways it can kill you, basically, and the precautions and stuff. Because I was like talking about Uzzah, and I think I was kind of like going over some of the rights, wrongs, and reasons stuff. And I even
talking about cheating on the Spanish test and all that stuff.
Yeah, I even did like pull some examples I made for like right, wrongs and stuff that I wrote myself. And so then I mean, it's not that weird of a question to be like, what do you mean we don't know where this thing is that's super old? There's lots of things that are old. I think it's a fine question.
No, I know. It's just like you say, like, what do you... Like, I know that that's not where it was going, but it sounds like she was being like, that's crazy we don't know where it is. And I'm like, yeah, we don't know where a lot of things are that are old, though. But anyways.
Yeah, I think I did say something like that, but also the idea that, like, it kills you if you go near it. And she was just like, wait, so where is it then? Because I guess everyone who's found it, if anyone's found it, is dead. So then I was like, oh, we don't know. It's probably somewhere in Israel, I would assume. Like, that general vicinity. I don't think
somewhere in the Middle East,
really would have left the Middle East, most likely. What are they gonna do? Pick it up and drag it away? I don't think so.
Well, they put Asherah Poles on her.
And so then she's got the idea that she could possibly have a situation where she's walking through like the street or like a forest one day and stumbles upon the Ark of the Covenant and just falls over dead. And I was like, that's not gonna happen, don't worry. But it's so funny to me, but I felt bad because, yeah, I don't think she's like scared about it or anything like that anymore.
No, it's not like an ongoing
this
fear.
happened several years ago, but it was funny.
It is funny.
Anyway, so then the Obed-Edom and his wife pray about the kid who is sick and also the dad. And so then the next day...
You should have said it's in a museum in Hollywood since they used the real one for filming Indiana Jones.
Yeah, exactly. That was the real Ark of the Covenant. In Indiana Jones.
Yeah, they really died.
Actually did die, yeah.
They actually did melt into plasticine.
Yeah. The fun fact, it's like Welcome to Hell.
It's like wow, those are
George Lucas.
Amazing practical effects.
The George Lucas we know today is like George Lucas II, because the first one died filming Indiana Jones.
He got Avril Lavigne.
They're making another Indiana Jones. Did you see that?
Yeah, here.
Yeah, Dad told me the other day, and I was like, without Harrison Ford, and he's like, no, it's still Harrison Ford. And I was like, he's so old.
I haven't seen the trailer, but I saw a thumbnail. You know how he's looking? Really old.
I was like, Harrison Ford, no, you're too old for this. I had a Sultan Aladdin moment. I was like, but he's so old. Anyway. Oh, also when we were watching Dune at one point the other day, someone said something in the movie and I was like, good, go fix it. And then Jonathan and Gabe did laugh because I used the funny voice. Uh-huh. But at the same time I was like, but it's not the same.
It's not the same.
Anyway, so then the kid and the dad come, and then the kid's like doing jumping jacks. He's doing like burpees and like a decathlon or whatever. And then the dad's like, oh, were you praying about the kid yesterday? And they're like, yeah. And he's like, he was in the presence of the Ark of the Covenant, and also you're praying. And he's like, not sick anymore. And they're like, but we're also praying about you. And he's just like, how did you know my wife was pregnant? And they're like, we didn't, but congratulations. And then their crops are like flourishing. The family's getting along.
Literally, and not just in the meme way.
Yeah. Their skin is clear. Their crops are flourishing. Yeah. And then David comes. He's like, yo, can I get my box back? And then the wife is just like, but we've grown so attached to the box.
It's basically the plot of Kingdom Hearts 3 when you think about it.
Yeah. I love that part in Kingdom Hearts 4 where Lucio goes to open the box and then just keels over dead.
So that's the only way that you can actually kill him.
That's why we weren't allowed to watch the transport of the box in Kingdom Hearts 3.
That's the whole, twisted pharmacon twist that Mom put him on. Is like,
oh my gosh,
you're on this endless...
and Pete open the box die.
You're on this immortal journey, and nothing can set you free except for the one thing that I've said that has been by your side the whole time, but I told you not to look inside. That's just the kind of sick, twisted stuff that Mom would pull.
That bit in back cover where he tells Lucio what's in the box, and Lucio's like, but why? What he heard is a stick, some moldy bread, and some rocks. And Lucio's like, but why? And he's like, you'll see.
So you can play rock, paper, scissors.
So you play rock, paper, scissors while you wait for me to come back, even though I never left? Question mark? I don't know. Anyway, so then David's just like, as a thank you, I want you guys to keep looking after the box in town, and we're going to go throw a party, and I'm sure nothing will go wrong at the party. Also, I want you to play music at the party while I do a little dance, and everything's going to be good, and nothing will go wrong.
No
and
one will be cursed to barrenness.
It was really, unintentionally funny. Only if you know what's going to happen, but yeah. if you don't know what's gonna happen, you'd listen to the end and you'd be like, "Oh, that sounds nice." And you do, and you're just like, "Oh no."
Do you think that like Dave? Because I mean, David put it there because he was like, "Let's give it a little more like airing out time because it keeps on killing people." Do you think he like showed up to Obed-Edom's house and he like has people? They're like in hazmat suits and they open the door with his stick and they're like. And Obed-Edom and his family are like flourishing. He just gets a big
stick and he like pushes the door open. And he looks and he's like, "Oh, they're still alive."
Yeah, they're like having like a big with their newly enlarged family having dinner, and they turn and David's there in a hazmat suit, and he's like, "Oh, you're alive," and they're like, "Sorry."
It's so funny to me because I sent you that message early on in the episode. Where I said, like, it's so nice and refreshing to see an Odyssey episode about David's life where he's not being, like, a massive jerk in some way, or just, like, sucking in some form. And then when you were giving me the timeline, and you're like, "Oh, yeah, then he also left it at the house, probably because he was worried it was going to kill someone else." And I was like, never mind. I was like, well, it was nice while it lasted. Because didn't, like... I'm trying to remember the stuff with his daughter or whatever. What was that? There was an episode about that. Him and his son, like the falling out they had. I don't remember what episode that was. It had Camilla?
It was David and Absalom.
Yeah, David and Absalom. I'm trying to remember.
Yes, Camilla was there. That was when Lucia was there with them.
Yeah, and then like bad stuff happened to his daughter, and then his son killed the guy, and so his son got outlawed or
got exiled.
Like that. Yeah. And then they made up, though, right? I think they made up.
Well, I mean, Absalom tried to like, usurp David and throw a revolution. And then when they were chasing him down, and David was like, "But don't kill him, take him alive." And then his hair got caught in a tree branch when he was riding on the horse. And it was
right, and he got hung, didn't he?
Well, he was hanging by his hair, and then I think they killed him while he was hanging from the tree by his hair.
That's like, yeah, I think I said it back then. Like, that's probably one of the worst ways to die.
Well, he didn't hang, but he was hanging.
Yeah, get stuck by your hair and then you get murdered.
It would hurt a great deal, yes.
That sucks. That's
honestly,
an awful way to die.
It's surprising that it didn't just scalp him. Yeah.
I hate thinking about scalping in any form.
That's reasonable, yes.
It gross.
Yes, it's deeply painful, I imagine.
Yeah. I don't like thinking about the fact that people kept other people's scalps. That's messed up. Anyway, so
that's the story. The video.
He was taught by David to look after the ark or whatever. He looked after the ark, and then he taught his kids to do it, and then his kids taught their kids. So there would always be someone looking after the ark, and that's why we definitely know where the Ark of the Covenant is today.
I think, I don't know this for sure. I feel like I've heard before that, like, there are, well, I mean, obviously, well, not obviously, that's not an absolute. One would imagine that probably someone knows where it is. Excuse me, and I believe, like, high-ranking
the Illuminati?
No, like high-ranking members of like the Jewish community, like of the existing body of Levites today in Israel. They allege, I don't know if it's true or not, but they allege that like they have the Ark of the Covenant in possession and ready to like on the moment that like if they reclaim the Temple Mount and rebuild the temple, that they have the Ark of the Covenant somewhere safe to be placed back in the Holy of Holies.
I'm just thinking, like, going back, I guess, to what we said earlier, people would probably try and break in there and just get, like, frigging murdered. Like, influencers would be like, "Hey, it's me in the Ark of the Covenant," and then their, like, video feed would just cut out.
I imagine security at the Temple Mount, well, I mean, already is very high as it exists today because of everything.
Okay, but like, what do you think the chances actually are of someone knowing where the Ark of the Covenant is present day? Because if I'm honest, I'm not exactly sure if there is anyone living who knows where it is. I'm not sure I believe that.
I'd guess 65% chance that someone knows where it is. That's my guess.
I guess I could conceivably imagine that like someone would have stumbled across it, not knowing what
Someone
it was
put
at
it
some point in
somewhere-
history, and then just got murked.
I assume in 70 AD, when the temple in Jerusalem was destroyed, someone put it somewhere for safekeeping that wasn't just an unmarked grave in the desert. Like, they put it somewhere specific, and then established a lineage of people, like a small group of people knowing where it was for a very long time, or at some point they died or whatever, but at some point someone else found it and continued to protect it.
I have a question.
I imagine probably.
What year does the Bible go furthest to? Revelations doesn't count.
Like 40 or 50 AD, I think.
Okay. So it doesn't go very far after Jesus was alive.
No, just a couple decades, I think, like 1 or 2 decades.
It's like, who would have been the last person who wrote, like, the end bits of the Bible, or do we not know that?
I mean, I don't know the exact chronology of the order. Like, when they were actually written, a lot of them was in, like, the 70s, I think, AD. And they're describing earlier incidents. But, so they're written a couple decades
not
later.
all of it, because lots of it was written by, like, apostles and stuff.
Yeah, but lots of, like, the Gospels and stuff were written after the fact from, like, live witness accounts and stuff. Obviously, the epistles are letters that were written when they were letters. But the accounts of past events were, like, written later on. But they were still all, like, around or before the destruction of Jerusalem, like around 70, 60 AD or so.
So how was the temple destroyed? Was it just like ransacked?
Yeah, I think Rome. I think Rome just kind of tore the whole city down.
Darn you, Rome! I guess it was like crusade kind of. No, Crusader was like King Arthur
1,000
time.
years.
Never mind.
Yeah. I mean, they were already in control of Israel, right? It's not like they were invading. Rome was already controlling the country.
That sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks. I hate it when history is destroyed.
And then 2 years later, 9 years later, Pompeii happened. It's like, destruction everywhere.
Yeah, I know about...
And then Pliny the Elder was there.
Pliny,
like,
that's what I was going to say. Pliny the Elder is in the Pompeii episode of Puppet History.
Yeah, he died in the eruption in Mount Vesuvius.
He tied a pillow to his head and then ran throughout the town so rocks wouldn't hit him on the noggin and he would survive. And he recommended others to do the same. What an icon.
Hey, I mean, to a certain degree, it would help you with some of the hazards.
Yeah, but like the sulfurous gas is what...
Yes, the ash, being buried by ash is what took most people, yes. Yeah, but, I mean, hey, falling rocks did also kill some of those people.
That is true. I can't deny that.
You know that one picture of the body that they dug up, where it's just like a body like this from the neck down, and then like a massive, like 3,000-pound rock on top of the head.
I've not seen that.
It's the most Wile E. Coyote-looking picture ever.
I thought you were saying like a body like doing like the Family Guy dead pose with a rock over its head is what they found. I don't know if I want to see.
Well, I mean, just a skeleton,
like petrified, or
it's from Mount Vesuvius. It's just a skeleton with a rock on top.
I have a question. It's completely unrelated to anything. How do shrunken heads work? How do they get that small?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay, I don't want to look it up because I feel like I'll see a lot of pictures that will gross me out. But
anyways, Obed-Edom.
Because skulls don't shrink.
You're correct.
Skulls don't shrink, right?
My guess, I've never looked it up for some reason. My guess is that they take the skin off of the skull, and then it's the skin that shrinks. Is my guess, which is gross.
That would make more
but it makes more sense because, as you said, skulls don't shrink.
Skulls, yeah. Because I mean, I've never seen a shrunken head in real life. Oh no!
See, it's extremely cartoonish.
Those bones are looking pristine. Actually,
yeah, it's really funny.
Oh no, that's so sad.
It's like This is
That does look very Acme-esque.
it literally looks like a Roadrunner cartoon. Like it's like
Oh, I feel bad at laughing for this.
it could not be more comically like placed.
We're all over the place today.
Yeah.
You can tell we haven't talked in a long time.
Yeah.
Over Skype at least.
Well, yeah, I mean, we played games for 5 hours the other day.
Yeah,
but we haven't done the podcast in a long time.
Not just conversation.
Yeah, for the video documentary, Bob is like, we're doing a thing with the Ark today, and they go to the Ark encounter in Kentucky, and they're like, oh, it's the wrong Ark, I guess, but whatever. So yeah, they look at the other Ark, like the replica Ark? Noah's Ark that they have in Kentucky.
That's like crazy. I don't remember how big it is.
It's very large, yeah, and they have like a whole theme park.
Super big. I remember like
and stuff. I'm sure you've seen pictures of it before.
The place we went camping had like that big.
It did, yes.
Ark. I mean, it obviously wasn't like to scale.
It wasn't to scale, but it was very large.
It was large, and it had ice cream in it.
Frozen yogurt.
Frozen yogurt. Yes.
Very good. Yeah, I mean, it is an impressive size. I'll give it that. Obviously, there's a lot of criticism leveled against the Ark Encounter because it was like you spent how much money to build this thing in the poorest state in the country, or like almost the poorest state in the country. And they're like, but it's the best use of this money is to spend, I don't know, $100 million or whatever, like building a life-sized Ark theme park.
Is it? It's a theme park?
Well, it's not really a theme park per se, but it's like there's other like attractions and stuff adjacent and activities for kids and stuff like around and inside of it, along with all the information.
I guess that makes
stuff.
sense if it's a tourist attraction.
It's a whole. It is like basically a park, like a museum / park attraction kind of thing.
Is it made of wood?
Yeah.
That would be insanely expensive because wood prices are really high right now.
Yes, and it's a lot of wood.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very big. So yeah, they go and they look at that because unfortunately, like you said, the real Ark of the Covenant was not available for filming the video documentary.
Maybe the real Ark of the Covenant was the box we accidentally stumbled across / on if you're Uzzah along the way.
Yeah, I guess so. And got the bubonic plague from.
Yep.
The pesta bubonica.
Okay, I kind of asked you this earlier. I didn't know what you meant though. When we were talking about the manna, you said like white stone? I don't remember
wafers,
what you said.
Bread?
Yeah.
Wafers of bread.
You said something.
I said I often also equate lemdis bread and the manna in my head.
No, it was something we were talking about when we were typing.
About the longevity of it? I mean, you were like, wouldn't it be rotten? I was like, well, I mean, the normal manna, it was like we pick it up and then the next day, and it's fine all day, and then the next day it's turned to maggots, unless it's the day before the Sabbath, in which case it lasts for 2 days. So it's like already arbitrary. So I don't see why this manna couldn't be like, oh, instead of like it's always 1 day, except for 1 day a week. Then it's 2 days.
You said evergreen.
Oh yeah,
what did you mean by that?
Like lasting forever.
Oh, is that a term?
Yeah.
That's what the library database is called.
Yeah, no, I didn't mean evergreen like the plants. I meant like it would be forever verdant.
Like I assume it's like magic bread.
Basically,
Lambus bread, but real life.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, if it will rot after 1 day, except for on Fridays, then it lasts for 2 days. Like, if it's already being arbitrary like that, then why couldn't this jar of manna last for 3,000 years and be fine?
You get it Friday.
It also comes from the sky or the ground. It's
Wait,
there
you get it Friday, it lasts Friday, Saturday, then it dies on Sunday?
Well, ideally you wouldn't leave it till Sunday, right? You only gather enough for 2 days because Saturday is the Sabbath.
Yeah, but do they not get food on Sunday?
No, then on Sunday you would get more again.
Oh, why don't they get any on Saturday?
Because it's the Sabbath and it's work to go out and pick up bread flakes off the ground.
But Saturday isn't the Sabbath, Sunday is.
Saturday's the Sabbath.
Wait, I thought Sunday was the Sabbath.
You know, Christians made made Sunday be the Sabbath because they were like, this is when Jesus came back, so we're gonna do the Sabbath on Sunday. But Jewish culture celebrates the Sabbath on Saturday.
Is that why we get Saturday and Sunday off typically?
I mean, it's certainly why we get Sunday off. Saturday is probably a degree of that. I mean, it's why the week ends on Saturday, because it is the end of the week. It's the seventh day of creation, the rest day, right?
I always... My brain, my bean. Because I always considered Sunday to be the beginning of the week, but I always thought Sunday was the Sabbath.
Yeah, Sunday, well, Christians were like, we're going to do it on Sunday instead. But sense. Yeah, because it's like if you think about a 7-day week and God rested on the seventh day, and that's why we have the Sabbath.
Never thought
so
about
the end
it
of the week
way.
is the Saturday.
My bean, Devin!
I mean, bear in mind the day barriers are also different because our days begin and end at midnight, and for them, the day begins with sundown.
At the witching hour.
Yeah, they begin the day at sundown, so Sabbath would begin when the sun sets on Friday night and would end when the sun sets on Saturday night.
I've been thinking about this because it's winter. Did they just naturally their body changed when they get up and stuff?
What, just through all of history? Or specific to this Sabbath and your day?
Just when it gets winter and it gets darker at different times, you just get up and go to sleep and have
shorter days. Yeah, probably.
Days. I wish we had that. Anyway, what do you rate this episode, Devin?
That's how most of history worked before we had electric lights.
Dang it!
Candles are expensive.
What do you rate this episode? Or I have to rate first. I liked this episode. I liked that the wife didn't want to give the ark back immediately. I feel like that was realistic considering her life. Their lives started getting a lot better. I always feel a little weird about these episodes where it's we don't know if it happened, but you can't prove it didn't.
I mean, to be fair, to a degree, that's every episode about the Bible, right?
There's always I was thinking it's never word imagination for word. Station and stuff like that too. It applies.
There's always has to be at least some degree of extrapolation, and so it just depends on how far you want to go with that, right? You think about the story of Ruth is very short in the Bible. We kept pretty much everything that's in there.
Oh, that's true. I did read all of Ruth, and I was very disappointed. I was like, "Where's the romance?"
Yeah, Orrin is not. I mean, there is a person who had first rights to be the redeemer for the family, but we don't have a name for it. It's not this whole web of I was trying to take your land.
Going to heaven and meeting Ruth's husband. What do you mean your name isn't Orrin?
Boaz is his real name, but Orrin being the bad guy is just there was someone who could have been it. We don't know if he was trying to steal their land. We don't have a name for him.
Oh, right. I was thinking of Boaz, not...
Yeah, Boaz. Yeah. Boaz is definitely a person with a name.
Boaz is the OG biblical Disney prince. He is my Philip of the Bible.
Yeah.
Anyway, I liked this episode. I'm gonna give it a solid 4, I think. I thought it was good. I liked the characters. I liked that precocious little child who nearly got himself killed. He seemed like a nice guy. And hey, we got more cool grandparents in this episode.
Yeah, I like expanding more on this story because when I saw the name and that the ark was in the art, I mixed up the names in my mind. I thought that this was about Abinadab because I was
That's what I thought it was about.
Yeah, I was this is the house first. Where they put the ark for a couple decades before they brought it back to Jerusalem. I forgot that it also spent 2 months at this other house.
All I remember is back when we did devotions, us reading this bit and me being it spent how long? Just in this guy's house? And then it was and then they moved it. And I was oh, transfer from one place to another. Okay. But
it would be very weird having it in your living room. Just when you think about
I would get up in the middle of the night because I'm thirsty to get some water, and then I'd accidentally stumble on it and die.
But I mean, also think about if you have a piece of furniture, like, oh, I'm putting this here because I need to move it, and you like just leave it in a space, and then next thing you know, it's like, oh, I'm not even noticing it anymore, and it's just like, yeah, this is just this old thing laying around in the middle of the space. So everyone's walking around it, you're hanging your tunic on it.
Don't hang your tunic on it. Oh my gosh.
I mean, obviously that wasn't glowing. This because they were praying before it all the time and stuff like that. Yeah. But it's, it would be a weird experience to have the Ark of the Covenant in your living room.
Imagine you accidentally drop something near it, and you're like, well, can't get that.
The dog toy rolls underneath it, and you're like, you're gonna have to wait for some Levites to come.
Your earring backing rolls underneath it, and you're just like, oh, I liked those earrings. Dang it.
Yeah.
You gotta wait for the poles to come. You can't get it for a while. You're making a puzzle, you drop the last puzzle piece under the Ark of the Covenant. Can't finish the puzzle. Gotta make our own piece from scrap.
Oh, that was a good one.
I'm taking a picture. I'm gonna show that bit to Mom later. I think I'm funny. Anyway. Oh, what do you rate it, Devin?
I think I can go same as you, 4 out of 5.
Okay. Yeah. Very much agreeing on the ratings tonight. Yes.
We're in tune.
Any final thoughts? We've been talking for a while. Mostly not about the episodes, but we've been having fun. And
we've been talking about the Ark a lot, to be fair.
We have been talking about the Ark. Most of the stuff has been actually on topic. So. Any other thoughts? Before you gotta go pick up your mate from work.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that's everything. We should talk about predictions for itself.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yes. Do you have to go now, though?
No, not yet.
Oh. Wait, what time do you have to go at?
Usually, wait till Ox is actually done, because overtime is constant.
I didn't want to
I don't usually leave early, because then they might be like, oh, I'm going to be an extra 2 hours.
Okay. Give me that stuff. Give me that content.
Yeah, okay, let's stop this recording here, and then we're gonna talk about the next album. Alright, now we're gonna talk about, finally, album 74 predictions.
Okay, which one do I click on first? The first one?
Well, I'll talk about the other stuff first. So, album 74, the title is Buckle Up. So, my first thought, Buck, is in the title. Excuse me.
Will be in this album, do you think? Or
here's the thing. If you want, you can take a glance at the art. Eugene is in the album art.
Okay. Can I say a spumbler from the OAC?
I did see a message where you mentioned Eugene, and I was like, I don't know what this is about.
Oh, that was the message I deleted. Okay.
I forgot about that until a minute ago. I was like, you said something about Eugene, and I thought maybe you saw this art for the album.
I will say, I caught up to December. Will was in a kids' radio episode. He didn't play Eugene.
Mm-hmm.
Eugene was mentioned twice between all the different episodes. In one episode, he was mentioned a bunch of times. Like, every time he was mentioned, it was by Buck. So that kind of leads me to believe that he's possibly...
Or it was already recorded.
Or it was already recorded. But, like, in all the episodes he was mentioned, he wasn't present.
Okay.
So, like, it makes me wonder if they are planning on recasting him.
Yeah,
in one episode where I said, like, no, Eugene, I said about, like, a line where it was like, Eugene can't come here today because he's on a trip in England. And I was just like, did they get rid of him? But then...
It seems likely then. And like I said, that is what I...
No, he was only in England in that one episode.
No, I mean, like, recasting. Like, ultimately, I hope that's what they go with so that we can continue storylines and stuff.
Yeah.
Because when I told you I first saw the name, like, the cover for the album, I had 3 immediate thoughts, which I didn't tell you. And one of them... When
did you see the cover of the album?
I don't know, a couple of months ago.
Oh, okay.
The first thought was like, hey... The title has Buck's name in it, so that's exciting.
Wait, the way they spell it, is it like Buck is a separate word, or is it just buckle is one word?
Buckle up, exclamation mark.
Okay, might, to be devil's advocate, it might not be about Buck.
It might not be about Buck.
But...
He's also on the album cover.
Oh, then it is about Buck. I'm assuming
here's the thing.
Since last episode was like multi-parter, this one's just going to be a bunch of just like different stuff.
This is also like, we already had this album cover before.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I saw it's a roller coaster.
We've literally done this album cover before.
Yeah, but they redid that cover and it's not a roller coaster anymore, is it?
No, it's not. So
they changed it.
That
so
was
it's
one
not a roller
thought. The next thought is, you can open the art if you want.
Oh, okay.
I guess.
I want to look at it.
Eugene, because it's not story specific, obviously. Second thought was, hey, Eugene is on the art, so hopefully he's in the album. Third thought is, they changed Jules' appearance so that she's a photorealistic Shona Kennedy. They just, it's because everyone else is their characters, and they just made her like her actual real life.
I didn't say this. At least she still has the same color.
Which is not what she's previously looked like on existing album covers.
I saw a little bit of the thumbnail when the link sent to me, and I almost yelled Renee really loud, but we hadn't started recording yet.
Oh, and also Renee is there. Sorry. That was the other thing. Sorry, I forgot. That was the things I noticed were like, hey, Buck title. 2, Eugene in the art. 3, I was going to say Shona's face. Jules' face. Jules' face is Shona's face. And 4, Renee is on the album art. Here, let me read the description for you. To this point, Renee and Horace have only appeared in club adventures. Not anymore.
They've breached captivity. I'm just thinking of that Vine where it's just like, we put them in the cage where the youngest ones. Oh no, we got out.
I saw that Renee and Horace's names were the front. I didn't see that the first sentence is literally acknowledgement that they're like, hey, they're free.
They're free. Buck's shirt is, I don't know if this is on purpose, the same color as the car, and it makes it look like he has no chest.
Invisible Man.
Part of me wants to believe they accidentally just straight up forgot to color in Buck's shirt. So he's just arms.
They accidentally turned off the Buck's shirt layer.
Because we haven't taken enough away from Buck, we took away his torso.
Okay, we need to go back. In album 74, both are back for a scientific breakthrough of monumental proportions, but there's a
growth and maturity. Buck's gonna become a Christian in this album. I'm calling it.
But there's a catch. The technology is based on Mr. Whitaker's imagination station, and he didn't give them permission to use it.
What's based on?
But to this point, Renee and Horace have only appeared in club adventures, not anymore. In album 74, both are back for a scientific breakthrough of monumental proportions. But there's a catch. The technology is based on Mr. Whitaker's imagination station.
I'm excited for more development of their relationship, because we have talked extensively in that one episode about those two as friends. They're like QPP. I love it. And Renee, girl, you already done this like 5 times. What roll the tone? Anyone?
It's like, wait, you mean someone's based something off the imagination station without Wit's permission?
This has never been done before.
Will Renee risk her friendship with Wit for the name of science? Probably. Olivia's spiritual journey continues. When she gives her testimony at church, big questions arise that she can't answer.
Oh, I thought her arc was done. I'm excited.
So did I. I'm very excited.
Okay.
Yeah. How will she handle it? Can she take the next step while still reflecting God's love?
I'm excited. I was thinking about the Olivia episodes this morning.
Elsewhere in town, friendships are at stake when Buck and Jules hit a rough patch that could endanger theirs. Meanwhile,
oh my gosh, they've never gotten an argument before.
Meanwhile, Maury and Suzu try to find a healthy path towards new friends.
Yes!
And Wooten faces a courtroom struggle that pits him against
oh my gosh, they're finally going to jail. They're getting arrested.
That pits him against an old friend. The folks in Odyssey are about to face all sorts of twists and turns, so mark your calendar for December 15th. Then keep your hands and arms inside the car at all times and buckle up.
December 15th, that's 10 days from now.
Even less by the time this
comes out. That is exciting. Also, Jillian wasn't mentioned, so I'm assuming no Jillian in this album.
Probably not, because they gave a lot of different episodes touched on.
Yeah, exactly. I'm thinking no Jillian right off the bat, which I'm a little sad, but also she just got a full album, so I feel like this is fair.
Give it a moment to breathe, and then we can focus in with the proper attention. There's a lot going on here.
As much as I love Jillian, and she's like probably my favorite character at the moment, tentatively my favorite character, because I'm still like, where are they going with her? She's my favorite girl character at the moment. I have, like I said before, really missed like Mori and Suzu, and
Yeah.
I'm so excited for more Olivia stuff. Holy crap, I thought they
Yes.
were done with her arc. I'm so glad they're not.
Yeah. So the episode titles we have are Game Night, King of My Heart, Legally Wooten.
Oh, I'm excited for that one. Oh my gosh.
So that's obviously Wooten in court, and he's going to be like, what? Like, it's hard?
Oh my gosh, Wooten's gonna become a lawyer.
Renee Renewed.
Could you imagine, because I have to make everything about Wellington, if Wellington somehow became, well, or if Wooten somehow became Wellington's defense lawyer. Could you imagine the chaos?
Yes, I'm imagining it.
It would be so good.
Renee Renewed.
I wonder which one is the Renee episode.
Yeah. Tough Call and Value in the Process.
I'm going to say the finale is definitely going to be Buck and Jules.
Yes, it. Or Mori and Suzu.
I'm thinking Buck and Jules. I would like to... Wait, how many episodes did they mention, do you think?
I'm going to guess King of My Heart is Olivia's thing, where she's trying to figure out hard questions.
Okay, so we got the Horace and Renee episode.
Yes.
And then...
we have Olivia.
The Olivia episode. We have...
And then we have Buck and Jules,
Wooten and Court.
And Mori and Suzu.
And Mori and Suzu.
Wooten and Court.
So that's
So they gave us 5. Yes.
So what I would like is...
I'm going to assume Game Night is the one that isn't any of these, probably.
Yeah. Something I would like...
Although it is the series opener, the season opener, so it could be one of them.
If
but
they
Tough
did
Call and Value in the Process.
A Game Night... Listen, hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
They pulled a Turning... I was going to say Turning Red. That is the Pixar movie.
Turning Point.
What is the... Is that the name of the episode?
With Katrina and Eugene?
No, with Mandy and Liz fighting.
Oh, Seeing Red.
Seeing Red, that's what it is. So if they pull a Seeing Red and they start off the album, say like a Meltzner...
Oh, the fight.
Like Kendall, like Game Night, and then Buck and like... this is what I want. This is what I want. A Game Night with the two families. Bonus points if Jillian is there, of course. And unless she's like out with Burke. I want details, even if it's just in the background. But they fight. Like
it just starts out as like a Monopoly spat.
It starts off as Monopoly. It gets much more intense, as all Monopoly games do. Jules and Buck
becomes
fight.
Risk and then Trouble.
And then they are like however many days or weeks or ever that the album spans.
It starts out as Perfection, and then it becomes Risk, then Trouble, and then Operation.
We already did Operation with Jules, Devin. So they fight in the first episode, then how much time spans the rest, they make up in the last episode. That would make sense. That is what I want. I want this to feel like it has a time span that you just like, you feel it through the album.
Like that. I like that. Yeah. And then Tough Call can be more in Suzu, Renee and Horace in that one, Wooten in that one, and then King of My Heart is Olivia trying to reconcile.
I feel like we really felt this in the Olivia episodes, especially because with things like Liz and Mandy's fight, we obviously didn't have the podcast back then.
Yeah.
But like with, say, take Olivia as an example, with like her arc that just happened where we were like, oh, is this going to be one episode? Oh, no, it's 2. Oh, it's still going. And then you really feel like the time, like, because it's multiple episodes, as opposed to like, say, Jules and Buck fight in like one episode, and then they say like time passed and we're still not talking. And then they like make up at the end of the episode, because we've had like a bunch of episodes where those two like argue in some way or have some sort of disagreement, and then they're like talking again by the end of the episode. If it like spanned a whole album, it would feel like so much more dire than like past arguments or disagreements they've had.
Yeah, I like that. Like, obviously we like it when the premiere and the finale have something with a little more weight, and I like how both for Buck and Jules and for Mori and Suzu and for Olivia, I mean, Buck and Jules, maybe not.
Can you imagine if the last Will, Ryan, Eugene episode was a board game night episode?
It would be sweet.
That would be so good.
Maury and Suzu and Olivia stuff, those are all like, follow-up content. Like, we've had so much arc stuff lately that has ended and hasn't had its falling action yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're not even touching on 28 Hours here, but it's like Olivia needs falling action from her stuff, and Maury and Suzu still haven't got very much, some, but not very much falling action.
Maury and Suzu are still like in, they had like falling action, now they're back in the rising action again. Like, they're on like
we have our new
weirdo
guy. Yeah, that's true. Anyways, we have to be quick because I have to go because Alex is done, and they were like, also I have a quiz and assignment due in midnight.
Oh no, okay, yeah.
So we need to go. Next time we're going to talk about more AIOC because we'll record more before this album comes out.
Really quick alternate. I think also a Maury and Suzu family board game night would be the funniest thing ever. With that parting thought, I think it's time to go.
Like with their dad or with Wit?
Their dad over Skype, Tasha and Wit, and Olivia gets roped in there, and then you just have a very awkward and scared what's his face? The other guy, not Trey, his brother.
Oh, Cooper.
And you have a very scared Cooper sitting in the corner. Yeah. He's like, I want to go home.
CEMT squad.
Anyway.
Okay.
That would also be fun for me.
Next time we're talking about more AIOC. That's everything. I need to go. Thank you for joining us.
Okay. Go get Alex. Bye, lovelies.
Goodbye.